Good evening, my name is Ted Zaleski and I'm very proud to be here as the founder and leader of Solo Together. 25 years ago, we Solo Together performers got together and formed Solo Together. We were individual historical performers dedicated to bringing and making history alive for our fellow Americans. On behalf of all of those Solo Together performers, I want to say happy birthday and thank you very much, Bully.
I am Abigail Whitney, and I do invite you to learn a little bit about colonial life. I am the ordinary family that's living during an extraordinary time here in New England. It's when our country is founding its democracy, and yet we are going to be a part of this. Everyday families. I have 17 children that I need to look after. How would it be to learn what I use to make my clothing, to provide lighting, and to provide food for the family, my tools of survival? What is it like for my family when the British soldiers searched my home on April 19, 1775? It was a very extraordinary day, to say the least, and we were a part of it. Why not enjoy a tea ceremony with me? Or my colonial music. Come join in a song, a patriotic song, or perhaps even a dance. And of course, I could teach you about colonial cooking. I can come to your venue and with my implements, we can cook up a storm. I really love the colonial life so much that I invite you to join in my real experiences and hire me for your venue. After all, you too are most likely an ordinary family and would have been active with me in an extraordinary time.
I'm Steve Wood. I portray Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president. I would like to share with you today a little bit of a speech that Lincoln gave on December 1st, 1862, as part of his annual address to Congress. It was read in the House of Representatives. Fellow citizens, we cannot escape history. We of this Congress and this administration will be remembered in spite of ourselves. No personal significance or insignificance can spare one or another of us. The fiery trial through which we pass will light us down in honor or dishonor to the latest generation. We, even we here, hold the power and bear the responsibility. We shall nobly save or meanly lose the last best hope of earth.
So, you're Bella. I've heard a lot of good things about you, but I never knew you were such a beauty. He's so handsome. A little short, but that doesn't matter, so am I. It's very nice to meet you. So, when did you come to America? I came with my sister Rose just 3 months ago on the SS Lapland. You were on the Lapland? I cannot believe it. I came myself on the Lapland just 9 months ago. We must be beschert. I don't know if it's beschert, but I will go with you for a coffee. And we did. We would go walking in the evenings, sometimes for a coffee. We would speak of our families and our dreams. I learned that Joseph had lived in Poland with his parents and his brothers and sisters. He was the baby of 10 children, and they were all of them musicians, his family. And a few of his brothers and sisters played in the best orchestras in Poland. But Joe, he never wanted to play music, and he would hide in the closet when his papa would come with the violin demanding he play. No, Joseph wanted to be a photographer. So in Poland, Joe learned photography. After 3 months, Joe comes to me and he says, Bella, you are the woman I want, and so I am asking you to marry me. But Joe, it's only been a few short months. It's not enough time to know. It is enough time for me. I know what I want, and you are what I want. I'll tell you what I think. We will keep seeing each other as we do now for 5 years. And at the end of the 5 years, if we still want to be together, and we know in our heart that it is beschert, I will marry you. My name is Vicki Summers. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Tracy Messer, and as Calvin Coolidge, I bring you greetings from the state of Vermont. Vermont is a state I love. I could not look upon the peaks of Ascutney and Killington, or Mansfield and Equinox, without being moved like a scene that no other could move me. It was here that I first saw the light of day. Here I received my bride. Here my dead lie pillowed in the loving breast of these eternal hills. I love Vermont because of her hills and valleys, her scenery and her invigorating climate, but most of all, I love her indomitable people. They are a race of pioneers that have almost beggared themselves to serve others. If the spirit of liberty should vanish from other parts of the Union, and support for our institutions languish, it could all be replenished from the generous store of the people of this brave little state of Vermont.
If you don't know how a pencil is made, I can tell you, because my father was a pencil maker. You'd start with a piece of cedar wood, and you'd cut a groove in it, and you'd put in the graphite paste. And the graphite paste is made from the mineral graphite and other materials like wax or clay. You'd paste another piece of cedar wood on top, glue it together, and then you'd sand off the edges. Pencils in the United States, when I was a child, were far inferior to those produced in Europe. But I helped my father in his pencil workshop, and we ended up producing some of the best pencils, I would say the best pencils produced in the United States, J. Thoreau and Son. I consulted the encyclopedias at Harvard and found out what kind of clay the best manufacturers in Germany were using. I invented a machine to separate the finer from the coarser graphite particles so our pencils wouldn't smudge. And we even varied the clay in order to produce a numbered series of pencils, 1 through 4. 1 was the softest, used by artists. 4 was the hardest, used by draftsmen. 2 ended up being the most popular, and it still is today. I could have made a good living, as they call it, being a pencil maker. But I didn't want to be a pencil maker. I wanted to be a writer. I didn't want to make pencils, I wanted to use them. My name is Brent Rinaldi, and I'm performing Henry David Thoreau.
Yes, my name is Stephen Collins. I've been a member of Solo Together for 20 years, and I'm working on a new character, Herman Melville. I'll be debuting this show for the first time on June 13th at Newbury Court in Concord, Massachusetts. The play was written by Carl Rossi, the same fellow who wrote my Whistler show. And I'd like to give you a little excerpt, if you would, from the Melville show. It's a cruel life to see. You feel the second flood has come, and you ride an ark of men and rats upon it. Think no more of home. These outcast bastards and illiterates are your family now, and the merciless sun makes the pitch bubble and ooze from the deck, and cape winds freeze you down to the marrow, and the maggots multiply in the food, and the roaches swarm everywhere else, and below decks becomes a stinking Sodom, where I search for a friend and find none. And yet, there are moments when each dawn comes out of Genesis, and let there be light upon these waters. Or when you pick out bright Centaurus, never to be seen in northern skies. When flying fish leap into the air, then fall back like a shower of silver. Or being up in the mast with the ship at a plank below, one with the gulls, the clouds, the very sun. Most of all, the ocean with her shades and shadows, lost dreams and lost men, all wrapped in vast, unending silence.
James Madison, 4th President of the United States. I have often been known as the author of the Constitution, an honor which I have turned down as many people were equally important in its creation. The author of the Bill of Rights, however, yes indeed. The brilliance of the Constitution is not in its construction, is not in its words, is not even in the 3 aspects of government. The brilliance of the Constitution was in the compromises that we made that allowed all 13 states to ratify it. I, James Madison, would love to come and visit your school, your club, your organization, and talk about the founding of the country from my point of view.
My name is Sharon Wood, and I am portraying Sarah Josepha Hale. Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow. It would upset me greatly if that little poem, written for publication in 1830, was the only association you had with the name Sarah Josepha Hale. Perhaps you do know that the writer of that poem, for some 40 years, was the editress of Godey's Lady's Book, the foremost women's magazine of the 19th century. And you may know that for over 30 years, she worked to receive the joy of seeing her dream of having Thanksgiving declared a national holiday when President Lincoln signed the proclamation in 1863. But what kind of legacy is that for a woman who lived over 9 decades? Surely there is more to be remembered. Her work to encourage schools to be formed for very young children, schools for teachers, for women to enter the medical field. Surely there is much more to be known about Sarah. Born in Newport, New Hampshire, 1788, Sarah Josepha Buell, wife of David Hale. Please forget me not.
Well, hello everyone. Zora is here. So everyone can relax and take their seats because storytelling time is about to begin. As you know, I have collected stories for many, many years going through the South, from Florida to Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And I put all of those notes together and I have published a book called Muse and Men, 1935. So all of you are welcome to buy my book and read my stories, but for now, you can hear my stories straight from me. And once I'm finished telling my stories, then all of you will have an opportunity to tell your stories. Zora Neale Hurston is in the house.
Yes, it's lovely to be here. My name is Rudyard Kipling, and I'm so glad that my work is being shared out loud with many generations of readers and listeners since I've passed on to another world, because they are definitely meant to be told aloud. And I had this to say about my own writing. There is no line of my verse of prose which has not been mouthed, till the tongue has made all smooth, and memory, after many recitals, has mechanically skipped the grosser superfluities. I know there's been some controversy about my politics, and some people have seen fit to label me with certain things that I don't find accurate, and I'd like to have my own work speak for itself. So when I was asked as a young man to write a letter of support for the Presbyterian missions for their work in Africa, they thought a word from Mr. Kipling would serve their purposes very well. So they asked me to write this letter, but I found that the request rather distasteful, and this is how I responded to them, and I would like to say it exactly as I wrote it, so I will read what my response was. It is my fortune to have been born and to a large extent brought up among those whom white men call heathen. And while I recognize the paramount duty of every white man to follow the teachings of his creed and conscience, it seems to me cruel that white men whose governments are armed with the most murderous weapons known to science should amaze and confound their fellow creatures with a doctrine of salvation imperfectly understood by themselves, and a code of ethics foreign to the climate and instincts of those races whose most cherished customs they outrage and whose gods they insult. So no thank you, I will not support your mission.
Good evening. And so pleased to see you here. My name is Mrs. Gardner. You may call me Belle. And my dear friend Harry Sleeper came to fetch me at my abode, Fenway Court, and then drove me over to Mr. Longfellow's house in Cambridge. We motored along at the legal speed limit of 8 miles an hour. And we are having a fabulous time at our 25th gala celebration. See you there.
Well, hello everyone. Zora is here. So everyone can relax and take their seats because storytelling time is about to begin. As you know, I have collected stories for many, many years going through the South, from Florida to Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And I put all of those notes together and I have published a book called Muse and Men, 1935. So all of you are welcome to buy my book and read my stories, but for now, you can hear my stories straight from me. And once I'm finished telling my stories, then all of you will have an opportunity to tell your stories. Zora Neale Hurston is in the house.
Piacere di conoscerti. Sono Galileo Galilei. You don't understand Italian, do you? Well, I should introduce myself. My name is Galileo Galilei. I'm a professor of mathematics and philosophy for Grand Duke Cosimo de' Medici, the Grand Duke of Tuscany. And I've come here today to speak to a group of esteemed scientists about some of my most recent discoveries. Are you a esteemed scientist? Well, we'll find out. Well, I'm going to talk about all of my most famous discoveries made using a wonderful instrument I call a telescope. It came to me while I was visiting a friend at a party, but because of this wonderful instrument, I have discovered little moons going around the planet Jupiter. The stars, thousands and thousands of stars no one has ever seen before. I've even seen little ears on the planet Saturn, and I'm going to tell you all about all of them.